guys, today I'm going to do a book talk on City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. So City of Heavenly Fire is the sixth and final book in the Mortal Instruments series. The series, if you don't already know, is around Clare, who finds the Shadow World in the Shadowhunter world where the Shadowhunters fight demons, and they have Downworlders who are werewolves, vampires, fairies, and warlocks. So it's a really good series. If you have not read it, you definitely should. The first book is City of Bones, and if you want to see my book talk on all of the other 5 books, City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, and City of Lost Souls, click the eye up here. So if you haven't read this particular book, the last one, go read it and come back and we can talk about it. So if you haven't read it, bye. So this book starts out in the prologue. You meet Emma Carstairs, Julian, and their family at the Los Angeles Institute. So Emma gets dropped off at Los Angeles Institute, and while she's there, gets attacked by Sebastian and his Endarkened warriors. And they turn their father into an Endarkened, and then they kill. And they take their older brother, and Emma, Julian, and Julian's younger brothers and sisters all escape to Idris. So, Sebastian has attacked, like, all of the institutes. He has attacked 6 institutes in the amount of era, so that all of the institutes have to evacuate and go into Idris. So they all decide for, like, the council meeting and everything like that. Before then, Jace is trying to learn how to control his heavenly fire that is still inside of him. And Jordan starts teaching him, like, calming different things, kind of like yoga. Meditating, that's what it is. He's teaching him meditating so he can calm the fire and be able to control it, because it's the only thing that can kill Sebastian. So, they leave for Idris, including Jocelyn. Clary's mom, Jocelyn, comes as well, and so does Luke. And they go. Simon obviously can't come because he's a vampire. And so at the meeting, they have Emma and Julian and the younger Blackthorn children. They have, while they're there, they have them use a mortal sword to give a testimony of what happened and everything. And Emma tells them that she had thrown a knife at his heart and hadn't killed him. He said that Lilith had made him stronger, so now he was invincible. And except for the heavenly fire could still kill him. And then she freaked out because they were using her on Julian and it was hurting him, and she ran off. And Clare ran after her, and they started talking, and she kind of started to warm up to Clary, and then Jace came in, and Emma was, like, starstruck because Jace was famous. And then she recognized Clary. And she told him that they could come and see them anytime they wanted to. And so she took them up on that offer a couple times. So, back in New York, Simon no longer had his mark. And so he could be attacked because his mark of Cain was gone. And since to protect him when Isabel was gone, Isabel gave him her demon necklace to sense the presence of demons. And he was at the apartment with Maya and Jordan when someone knocked on the door, and he thought it was their food when they opened the door, and the necklace pulsed, and he moved out of the way, and then Darkened Warrior had come. He ran off. Jordan told Simon to run, so he ran. They fought the Darkened Warrior and killed him, and Simon was captured by Marion, who was a person that got turned into a vampire, who was completely crazy because she was just a little kid. She was like 12 years old when she was turned into a vampire. She was now leading the New York clan. And Raphael seen Simon there, and he told Simon that he would help him escape if he would come to Idris with him as a representative on council. So they went, and Simon was now free of the man, thankfully. And then Jordan and Maya were worried, sick, looking for Simon. They had found his phone broken, laying on the ground. And he got a call from the predator that said for them to come, so they went all the way out there. And they found it attacked by Sebastian. There were dead werewolves laying around on the ground. And Jordan and Maya had come, and then Sebastian had stabbed Jordan, and he died out in Maya's arms, which obviously she was devastated about, and she was just about to break up with him when it happened. And Sebastian told her that he would let her live to bring a message. Any downworlder that allies themselves with the Shadowhunters was going to be killed. Because his war was only with Shadowhunters, although Maya knew that even if they didn't ally themselves with Shadowhunters, Sebastian would kill them next. So Maya had to come back. Maya went back to New York in her pack, because she had been picked up, and went to her pack, and she was completely devastated. One of the werewolf people there that had come back from the pirate and survived was kind of annoying and was constantly saying like that they need to go against Shadowhunters, and Maya was saying no, and then he challenged Bat, who was the temporary leader, for temporary leadership while Luke was gone, and Bat had to accept the challenge because he didn't want to seem like a coward. So that night in the park, they had fought, and Bat had been about to die when Maya was like, no way, I wanted to challenge, because Maya talked to a vampire earlier in the day. They're saying that they should ally themselves, and he's like, talk to me when you're pack leader. So that was just one hit from dying, and she's like, wait, I challenge you for leadership. And then he's like, are you sure? Once you draw first blood, we can't stop. And he's like, yes. So they fought, and he attacked once, and then she thought of Jordan and Sebastian saying that he would die in your arms. So she used all of her rage and ended up killing him. She stabbed him in the eye, and his brain matter came out onto her hand. And she got to take the pack later, and then Bat luckily survived, thankfully. And so she was the new pack leader, so they decided to have a meeting with the vampires to try to ally themselves together. And they met at a Toys R Us, which Marion wanted to meet because, she's 12. And she was completely crazy, and she was wearing like a princess dress, kind of like what she was wearing because she's the queen of the vampires. That's just kind of the same thing she was wearing when she talked to Simon. And they were saying that Maya was trying to form an alliance and saying that they needed to stay with Shadowhunters. And she's like, yes, we should stand against the Shadowhunters. And I was like, okay, we have to steal this in blood. She's like, ooh, like blood. So she's like, okay. She went over to drink her blood, and then her lips like swelled up, and she's like, and she was grossed out, and then she dissolved because it was holy water in her veins. Lily had the idea earlier, so that Marion would no longer be any problem because she was a rogue downworlder going crazy, and then Lily took over the New York clan. So, in Idris, they had been, the day before the council meeting, the fair folk, the Representative Melwin, had invited all the other downworlder representatives to his house for a party. And while there, they was like talking and drinking the wine, and he was saying that he didn't, because the fair folk had allied themselves with Sebastian. So Warlock was like, what is in this wine? Because he's already feeling the effects. Then they had all ended up passing out, and so they were missing the next day at the council. And on the floor, it was written, I have come, because he had left earlier. I was coming, so this is I have come in angel blood. The night before, when Kelly had gotten back to her house, Sebastian had been sitting in her room, and was telling him that you should come and join them. Chase the nurse should come and join him, and that she would do it eventually anyway, so might as well come willingly and save the trouble of it. But Jace had heard and called all the Clave to come, and Sebastian had disappeared out of thin air. And the next day in the council, that is what had happened. And then there was an uproar of everything. They were all talking and trying to decide what to do next. And Jai Penhollow, who is the consul, she had guards standing beside her, and one of them had actually been darkened in disguise. She grabbed grabbed Jai and held a blade up to her throat and said that no one would be harmed if the Clave agreed to give over to Sebastian, his sister Clarissa Morgenstern, and his adopted brother Jace Slightwood. And they had all been like, no, we can't do that. They said they would give him back to Downward. It was like, no, we can't do that. Surely they'll see that they can't give up two of their own for death. They wouldn't be killed. They won't be harmed at all. And it's like, we need time. It's like, you have 2 days. So they all had left, and they had decided to make the decision, and Clare and Jace were hanging out when Emma had come into the room and said that they were planning on making the decision even without any input on Clare and Jace's part, even though it was them that could do it, because they had both volunteered to do it. So they decided that, and she had told them that they had said they were in Eden, which isn't another name for hell, but is also, they think, an actual place. So they had found that it was an actual place. It was another demon realm where there was an entrance in the fair and the sea lake quit. So they went down to the sea lake quit. Clare portaled her way down there because she really needed to find her mom and Luke and everything, because her mom went with them to the party. And there had been a fight because they had seen them there. And they realized that they were on the team of Sebastian. And she had drawn a rune that made it collapse on the fairy where they had coming. And then she had told the fairy queen that they wouldn't kill her if they led him to the path. It's like, I'll lead you. And then but you cannot tell Sebastian that we were here. It's like, okay. So when they had started down the tunnel, and they had found Mark, who was the older brother of the Blackthorns, in there. He had become a part of the Wild Hunt because they had taken him, since he had fairy blood in him. And so now he couldn't leave or he would die. He told them to give a message. They told him to give a message to the Clave that the fair folk were not on their side. And he said he would try to. And they told him that family was alive and okay. And later, when they had already gone through, the fairy queen had called Sebastian and said that they were coming. She's like, didn't they make you promise not to say they were there? She's like, I didn't tell them. They made a promise to tell them they were here. I didn't say anything about them leaving. And then when they went through, they had all seen what they basically desired most. Clare had seen in her mind. She was at the Fairchild Manor. And Luke and Jocelyn were there, happy and together. And then Sebastian was there. But as the brother that she was supposed to have, he had green eyes, and he was actually caring. Brother that her mom would cry over that he didn't have. And it was Claire's wedding day, and also she had a little sister who's named after Valentine, who was actually a war hero, who had blue eyes and red hair just like her, blue eyes just like Luke. And that it was her wedding. She was married to Chase, and then she had broken out of the fantasy. Isabel had dreamed that she was with Simon, and he had thrown her a surprise party for her birthday. And Max was there, and all of the other people that she loved. And Max, because Max had died, so he had still been 9. He's like, you know how old I am? And she's like, 22. And then she's like, do you know how old you are? He's like, 9. I will always be 9. And then she broke out of her fantasy. And Simon had seen himself as famous rock star, and then with Clare there. And Clare had come over, and they were together. And then Clare said that he loved her, that he loved him, and Simon said, "I love you, Isabel," and he broke out. And Alec had a dream where he was the hero and he had stopped the war and he had won, and everyone was proud of him. And that his dad was okay with that and proud of him too. And he broke out of the frenzy because Maggie's telling him it wasn't real and that wasn't what he wanted. And Jace, when they had run over and found Jace, and he said that he hadn't seen anything when he'd come through. So they didn't press the issue, and they continued, and Jace used the bracelet they had gotten from Sebastian to track him. And so they started walking. They walked until nightfall when they decided to hide in the cave because they had gotten attacked by a demon since they came out at night. So they found a cave, and it had runes all over it, like Shadowhunter runes and runes of protection and everything. And there was a clear water in there too, and so they walked down to that. And Jason and Alec had decided to take first watch, so all of them could sleep, and he went to watch. Jace had seen something in the distance, so he ran over to, and it happened to be the Iron Sister, who was no longer an Iron Sister, that he had killed when he was with Sebastian. But it was actually a demon posing as him. And then he felt so bad that all his heavenly fire just came out and started a giant blaze. And the blaze ended up, it was just surrounding him, and he just wanted to let it kill him. And Clare had come in with the rune that she had envisioned from when she first became a Shadowhunter. With that rune, she drew it and took the heavenly fire and put it into her blade that she had gotten at the weapons shop. That was a Morgenstern blade. So they left after that and continued their long walk. And then they had found the city. Simon had thought he saw a city, and it was the Atlantis of that world. So that was just like theirs. But it showed a path of Shadowhunters that had been destroyed. They didn't have Iron Sisters and Silent Brothers. They had all been taken out by demons. And then we went inside and saw a tomb and a statue of Jonathan Shadowhunter that was holding a Skeptron, which was their weapon of choice against demons. And Jace had decided he was going to try to grab it when Simon said that it was a trap and they shouldn't, but he grabbed it anyways. It made a buzzing noise, and a bunch of demons came down. And they were fighting them, and one of them grabbed Isabel by the leg and cut it open and had hurt her very bad. And then they ended up killing all of them. So Clare portaled them back to the cave they had stayed at. And they tried to help Isabel, but nothing was working. So Simon, he's like, okay, I'll do this. And he cut his own wrist and let some of his blood fall into Isabel to heal her. Luckily, it healed her because I did not want Isabel to die. I love Isabel. And she's one of my favorite characters. And so she was all fine after that. But Simon was not. He had been starving. And so Alec had decided that since he had broken his food, that he could drink one of their blood and just do mine. He's like, I don't want to drink blood with heavenly fire in it. I would just die. So Alec's like, here, do mine. And he's like, okay. And it was kind of awkward. And he went over with him. And he's like, they started talking, and Alec ended up saying that he was okay with Isabel and him dating because he made Isabel happy. And so Simon had found him, and he was fine. And Alec went to go on first watch. And Clare and Jace went off on their own into where the water was. And Jace told her that what he had actually seen. He saw himself sitting on a throne by Sebastian, watching the world burn. And Clay said that it wasn't actually what he wanted. Oh, and all of his people he loved were in a cage, and he's like, that wasn't actually what he wanted. But it was a twisted version of what he truly wanted, which was to keep his people he loved safe. And then Isabel had woken up and she was fine, and her and Simon were talking. And she told Simon what she had seen, and Simon told her what he had seen. He's like, and I love you, Isabel. It's like, I told you I loved you. He's like, you only seem to say that when you're drunk or in a dream, because earlier, after he had come to Idris, he had gotten some blood from Raphael that made him drunk, and so he went over to Isabel's house and started screaming that he loved her and that he wanted, and that she wasn't going to come out until he said he loved him back. And she came out the window, like, Simon, go away. He dropped his clothes because he had left them there earlier. He's like, take these and leave. And he hadn't left until finally Clare had pulled him away. It was very funny. But anyways, so Simon told Isabel that he loved her in the cave for the first time, really. The next day they walked to the fortress, and they decided that to get into Sebastian, they were going to steal the Undarken Warriors' outfits, kill 5 of them and steal their outfits to sneak in, which they did successfully. And while they're in there, Sebastian was like, I thought you'd be smarter than this, Clare. But, and then he had called for his Undarken Warriors to come. No, the demons came, and he was like, kill all of them, but bring me Clare. Bring her to me. Kill the rest of them. And Clare had drawn a portal. Clare jumped up and drew a portal into the wall that Jace used to go and get the Steptron from the statue and kill all the demons. Then Undarken Warriors came, and Sebastian had run off, so Isabel, Simon, and Alec ran in one direction, and Clare and Jace ran in another. Isabel, Simon, and Alec had found where Magnus and Luke and Raphael were being held. During that time, Raphael, he had said he would be on Sebastian's side, and Sebastian was like, okay, kill the warlock and to consecrate it, to make this official. So he went over to do it, when he's like, I can't, I owe him my life, and he's like, that's disappointing. Sebastian killed him, and Simon had actually felt it because he was the one who made him a vampire. But it was kind of sad because Raphael, but I mean, Magnus was sort of sad about it, and he had been feeling super sick because his father was the ruler of that dimension, basically, and he was making him feel bad, so he'd have to call on him. So Luke had run off and went to find Jocelyn, who had also been trapped there. And Clare and Jace, they ended up finding Sebastian, who was drawing like a circle of runes around himself. And a demon had come and he had killed, they had killed him, and Jace was attacked by Sebastian, and then he was kind of passed on the floor, barely alive, and Sebastian like, he's alive as long as I want to keep him alive. So Sebastian, he had told Clare, he was like, I'll stop all this destruction because the Undarken had attacked Idris, and they had led all the children into the Hall of Accords to keep them safe, and all the other people were fighting, where the fairies had joined in. Fairies and the Undarken Warriors were fighting the Shadow Hunters. It's like, you can stop all of this if you just agree to stay with me and sit on the throne. So he didn't want to rule the world anymore, he wanted to rule hell and be at his full power. And Clare is like, she's like, okay, and so she ascended her throne, and Sebastian had started breaking the pathway back to the other world, and the whole fortress thing started breaking apart, bringing with it all of Clare's friends that were there. So they all brought when the center ring. They saw Clare up there, and Sebastian was like, welcome, Clare, you come. She grabbed Clare and he's like, show them that you love me, give me a kiss. And so he kissed him on the cheek and said, Hail Master, and which basically means he's going to betray him.
Yes, he will.
And he used Glorious, which had heavenly fire on it, to stab him. And so the fire started killing him because he's like, I told you, there's nothing under heaven can kill me. And then the heavenly fire took effect, and he died. And he ended up having green eyes, just like the first vision, and he survived for a little bit, just as Jonathan. He was the brother that Clare would have had he not been poisoned with the demon blood. And green eyes are actually kind of nice, and he was saying that he was so sorry for what he did as Sebastian, although it wouldn't make up for it. And she started telling them how Justin came over there and was holding him because that was the son that she cried over, the one that never got to be, and he wouldn't live because he was way more hell than heaven. And he's telling them how to defeat the Endarken. He said that if he threw the Infernal Cup into the Circle of Thrones, then they would all be destroyed. So that's what he did, and all the Endarken fell dead to the ground. And right before he died, Claire's like, "Is there any way to open the path?" He's like, "I'm sorry. There's no way to get back. I'm so sorry." And then he died. And they started, and then eventually Magnus was like, "There's no way for us to get out." He's like, "Us?" Like, and then they decided to call on Magnus's father, and then they would pay the price for doing it. So he called on him, and he came, and he was saying, and they're like, "Well, I'll open the thing just for you." He's like, "I'll prove it." And so he sent Jocelyn and Luke and Jonathan's body back through to the Hall of Accords. And for them, he said it would be a price for everyone else to go through. And so Max was like, "I know what price you want, I'll pay it," and which was the price of him taking his immortal life so that all the years would catch up when Max would die, and making him, and then it would send them all back. And then after much argument, Simon's like, "No, I'll do it. He's like, "So you can take my immortal life. I don't want to be immortal anyways. I never wanted to be a vampire." Saying it won't affect him because he's only 17. And I was like, "But you're undead. If you're immortal, you'd just be a corpse." It's like, "No, I can reverse the effects of a vampire." That's what the demon had said. And then he was like, "But I also need one thing. I need his memories. Not all of them. Just the ones happiest. He'll forget all about the Shadow World and all about all of his friends. So he'll forget Clare and Isabel and all of them," which is what ended up happening, and he brought him back to the world. And then they, so he was out there, and he had forgotten all of them. And back in Idris, when they had been brought back there, they had a council meeting, and they had decided that Helen Blackthorn, since she had a fairy blood in her, would be sent to where all the woods are until they decide if she's trustworthy. That they would cease looking for Mark Blackthorn because he also had a little bit of fairy blood in him, which is completely ridiculous because it's not their fault that their mom was a fairy, but they were still shadow hunters. So, because they all decided that they had put a heavy sentence on the fairies, they were not allowed to have weapons unless the shadow hunters let them, which was horrible. So, because since of that, Helen and Mark both got sentences just because they had a little bit of fairy blood in them, which is completely ridiculous. And then they went to go talk to Simon, and Simon obviously didn't remember them at all, which is the worst thing ever. I hated that so much because Simon and Clare had known each other since they were kids, since they were babies. And Emma and Julian and all of them went to go live with their uncle in Los Angeles at the Institute where that came from. Not Emma's uncle, but she was like, because they were going to send her to Shadowhunt Academy that they were reopening, and she's like, "No, we're parallels, you can't separate us." And he's like, "Okay." Julian's like, "Alright," because he had offered earlier. So they ended up being together, ended up moving together to Los Angeles, which is where the next series takes place, I'm pretty sure. And so, Clare had went to go see Simon back in Brooklyn. He went over to him after he had left school and talked to him, and was saying that they knew each other once when they were in kindergarten, they were best friends, and how that her mom was getting married tonight, and that they'd really love him to know that back in another life, which is very depressing because Simon didn't even know her at all. And before she left, he's like, wait, here's a flyer for my band. His band was called The Mortal Instruments, which I was like, yes, there's still some hope. It kind of reminded me of, like, in Fantastic Beasts when Jacob forgot everything, but he made the desserts that were, like, the different animals. So there was still a chance that Simon could remember. So Magnus and Isabel went over to him, and they started telling him about it, how he was a hero, and that he could ascend and become a shadow hunter if he wanted to. Which I'm pretty sure he does, and that makes me really happy. Because Simon, which is what he basically has been, and he obviously wanted to be, gets to be a shadow hunter, and then he starts remembering things about them. And he eventually can get most of his memory back. So, in the epilogue at the wedding, Clare was there, and Tessa was also there from the other series, and brother Zachariah, who's Jem, they were there together in the series, and they had come to the wedding. And Jocelyn's like, Clare, there's someone I want you to meet. She had told her earlier that their last name, Frey, was named after the female warlock who had sent the place when she had her thingy that they put on the Shadowhunter babies so they couldn't be possessed. And so she had met Tessa Gray, who I was so happy about because I love Tessa too, and Jim, and they were finally together in this. And she said that, she's like, oh, it's F for Fairchild and the West for Gray. And she's like, and Tessa was like, it was a great honor. Tessa and Clare started talking, and Tessa told Clary, giving him a Herondale ring to give to Jace, because Jace decided that he wanted to be a Herondale, which is great. And he had given her a Herondale ring, and he had given to Clary a copy of the Shadowhunter Codex that used to be hers. And brother Zachariah, or Jim, he had to go on, and I'm pretty sure he took church, because church used to be his before Magnus had taken it. And then at the end, Tessa and Jim said they were going to go to Los Angeles, which I really hope that they're in the next series, because that would be really great. And I really hope Clary. I loved how this ended. It ended. They had went to like the night at the lake, and Simon had started remembering them. They had managed to end up together very happily, and even Maya, she was with Bat. I don't know if they were together, but definitely it was good for her to have someone. So I love this series so much, and I'm actually like the way it ended. I hope Simon gets all of his memories back, and I hope in the next series about them, Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, that Clary gets to make an appearance too, because I love Clary. She's amazing. So, and I love this series so much. I'm so happy that I read it. Make sure to comment your opinions down below, and thanks for watching. Bye.